Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Surprisingly, I am Chat Show. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy Jew Year.
I was told there was no Jews on this show.
Hey, never you mind whose voice that is. We'll get to that in a minute. Welcome back from the holidays. We had a pre-tape show the day after Christmas with the Billy Bob Thornton, our first smoker. It took us 94 shows to get one, and we finally had a fantastic couple hours with Billy Bob with the drinking and the smoking. If you haven't seen it or heard it, whatever your desire may be, I would go directly to the iTunes and get yourself some, because his stories were ridiculous and often pointless, but oh boy, no, I'm kidding. So how are the holidays for you is the question. Write us a contact at kevinpollakschatshow.com. We'd love to hear from you about how your holidays were. We have some of your questions, which we're going to get to, a couple of which. But first, checking in on the holidays, I want to go over to our very own Sam Levine, who's been gone for weeks and missed the Billy Bob Thornton show.
I missed everything.
Yeah.
I leave for a
New
week
Year's.
and a half. I missed it all. There was no Christmas on the East Coast. Did you know that?
I heard that Santa said, go fuck yourself.
He did. He said a big up yours to the whole Eastern Seaboard.
But Hanukkah Harry was there.
Hanukkah Harry made a wonderful appearance.
Hanukkah Harry was all up in it.
Indeed.
Yeah, because there's lots of Jews. So you went back for the holidays with the family.
The holidays with the family, my family, the lovely girl's family.
You can mention her by name.
I don't want to tell people too much information. My beautiful girlfriend Eve, yes, we had a wonderful time.
No, Sabrina's gonna kill her.
Oh, no, you stop. You be
Did
nice.
you meet up with Sabrina up on the East Coast?
I did not,
She
unfortunately.
didn't track you down?
We couldn't make that happen.
That's why he's here, because I was teasing that she trapped him.
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about her.
I'm sure she's excited her name's getting mentioned. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, Sabrina. But I got to stick around a couple days.
Why is that,
as you well
Sam?
know, to do this wonderful staged reading of this wonderful play.
Hilarious,
amazing, dark, brilliant play by Eric
black
Jenderson.
comedy, I think we can call it.
I believe you could call it a black comedy. Eric Jenderson called The Killing of Michael Malloy.
It's so brilliant.
It's so good. I sincerely hope it gets put up somewhere, even if I have nothing to do with it.
Well, it's got you and it's got Eddie Izzard.
The cat burglar. That was Sam Malloy.
Was it?
Michael Malloy. I was like, wait, that's the cat burglar.
But you refused to do This Week in The Simpsons. You know what, the hell with you.
Yeah.
Because no one watches anymore.
We watch.
And yes.
Just be you and me.
Yeah.
You, me, and Sean things.
This is what I missed when you were gone.
Oh, come on.
That little right there. Oh, man. Simpsons nonsense.
Well, anyway, I do want to throw this out there.
Please.
And put the fire under her ass. Melanie Griffith was at this table read. Staged reading. Said she would love to come on the show. So, you hear that, Melanie? We're after you. You better come on, or everyone watching this show will know that does not follow through with her promise.
If her husband comes on, my mom will walk from Pennsylvania to be here.
Antonio Banderas.
Yes, she will walk backwards.
We've co-starred. We've co-starred in the David Frankel epic, Miami Rhapsody.
I was at her home. She had a little rehearsal at Melanie Griffith's home in New York.
Pardon me, I'm sorry, it seemed like you were saying you were hanging out with Melanie in her home.
With a large group of people, all invited.
I see.
But I will say this, there were Nasonex B posters all over the room.
Weird.
Very unusual. I would not have expected that.
I get references.
So the reading went well, the holidays went well.
Everything was
You're back safe and sound.
spectacular. I'm back. And
blizzards, snow, weather.
the weather was terrible.
Flights canceled.
Yes, it makes you, every time it was so freezing and cold and snowing, I just went, oh, this is why I don't want to move back here. I love visiting, but I don't want to live here for the winter. That's awful.
I complain when it rains here like 2 days in a row. I'm like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, and no one watching right now could guess, or listening right now, I should say, that the two of you are in your 20s.
I'm pushing 30 now.
Complain more about weather in your 20s. It's over. It's over for both of you.
We're old. We're like too
We're old.
We're like Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, you are, in many, many ways.
They should move this show. Move it to Pittsburgh.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
My pleasure.
For sharing. Jamie, you hosted your biggest party to date. Am I incorrect on the New Year's Eve?
Everyone had an awesome time.
Yeah.
4 people puked the next day. That's how awesome It was.
I threw up because I was so sick about not being there.
Yeah.
I kissed Wayne Fetterman on the mouth. It was amazing.
Wow, that made the highlight reel. That was in the top 3 things mentioned. Fetterman on the mouth. Yeah, imagine how much I'm enjoying this. Because I too kissed him on the mouth, and now I feel like we've kissed, and that's weird. So what else? Great catering.
Yeah,
That's what
everything
everyone
went
was
off without a
raving
hitch.
about the
Everyone
food.
was raving about the
We should
food.
point-
Everyone had an amazing time. It was great.
We should point out that the vomiting
was
the
a
next
theme.
day by 4 people was not caused by the food.
No, that means that they were partying so hard.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
The poison known as alcohol. Many taxis came to the house.
Yes,
I
everyone
like that.
was very safe.
We didn't let any idiots drive home, and several insisted, and no.
Jacob insisted it was the most fun he's had in 3 years.
Yeah.
Very specific.
Yeah, 3 years. And I tried to push him to 4 years, and he wasn't having it. What?
06 was a big year for him.
Yeah.
Or 07.
Or is it?
Oh, no.
Well, congratulations and happy holidays, and aren't we glad it's over? Yeah. All right. Now on to you.
My house was just cleaned up from that party as of yesterday.
Still glitter.
There was glitter everywhere.
You're never going to get that out of there. You're going to have to move, and that glitter will still be there.
Actually, it's
Like
just
Studio 54, there's a glitter everywhere.
it's worse than you think, Sam, because it's the movie.
Oh, no.
It's not little sparkle.
They're
shit.
shooting they're perpetually shooting glitter in your home.
You can't get rid of it.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
It's worse than you think.
And Mariah's pregnant now, too, so.
Well, she's just slower.
Oh, this is.
But everyone else is just in the way. You know what I'm saying? It's the 9th of January, people. Get the fuck out of my house. All right. And I'm just back from Vegas for the annual CES, Consumer Electronics Show.
Nerd!
And boy, is my geek tired. Yeah, it was...
Hey, buddy, did you get a load of that nerd?
All right, you two, shut up. The best part of the trip to Vegas, I will say, was lunch with Jerry Lewis. I have shared with you folk that I did get the call from Mount Rushmore after my last 1 hour stand-up special debuted on the Showtime network. That Jerry Lewis had reached down from Mount Rushmore and said, "Hey kid, you're funny," and we didn't know each other, and so it was just to catch up you on the story. So, anyways, 5 phone calls followed that, and he kept saying, come to lunch next time you're in Vegas." So sure enough, we went to lunch on Friday, and it was surreal and incredible. He brought gifts. A new mastered DVD collection of 10 of his films, and a new mastered DVD collection of 8 films with Jerry and Dean, and 5 other films with Jerry and Dean. And we talked about him and Dean on tour when they did, what was it, 40? I think it was something like 29 cities in 40 days. And he said we had our own train. Just fascinating. I was like this for 2 hours. It was ridiculous. And I had said early on to Jamie that I wish I could just put the iPhone on the table and hit record, and he wouldn't be offended, because I knew it would be just an amazing tour, and it was. And I had wished that we had our cameras on for the show. But this was step 1 in bringing Jerry onto the chat show, so fingers crossed there. But theater goers, there's going to be a Nutty Professor, that a Broadway musical that he's working on and directing, and he's in his mid-80s, and there's no slowing him down, and he was mind-blowing with how sharp and funny, and the whole experience was amazing. So I want to thank him and David, his major domo, who made the experience incredible for me, because they helped me get to the Consumer Electronics Show at the Convention Center in Las Vegas. If you've never been, thank you.
No, thank you.
Don't. Ever. I mean, getting a car out of that place was literally the last chopper out of Nam. It was, I've never seen, Super Bowls, nothing. I'd never seen, it was ridiculous. They said it was way bigger than Comic-Con, 3 major halls that were big as the world, and it was insane. It was just ridiculous. And a lot of the hubbub and buzz was about 3D TV, on the floor. On the floor. Have you been to the floor? Have you been on the floor? Because I was there to be on a panel with some great people. Sam's friend, the Damon Lindelof.
Oh, Damon Lindelof.
I can never say it right. And Carlton Cuse.
Cuse, yeah, Carlton Cuse.
Sean Ryan of The Shield and the New Chicago Code, and also the Justin Halpern. You know who that is?
I do know Justin.
Shit, my dad says. So that was a fun panel. It really was. To talk about...
Now, why were you on it, though?
Exactly. Well, for $1,700, you could have been on it, too.
Oh, come on.
No, I didn't pay. No, they asked me to... I didn't know. It's weird. You know what it is? It's this ridiculous chat show. And they said, you're an authority. Come on here. We want to talk about how the TV is coming to the TV and the Internet's coming right alongside. And so, anywho, it was pretty fascinating. But, so Jerry, at the end of dinner, at the end of lunch, Jerry Lewis, says, well, we'll take you. We'll drive you. Where is it? So they drive me. And as we're pulling up, I'm thinking, oh, thank Christ, because there were... easily, they said, a 2-hour wait in the taxi line to get out of there. And pulling up, it was just insane. So I see this taxi line, and I'm going, I'm never going to get out of here. This is ridiculous. And I said one, I'm sure, not so subtle thing. And Jerry said, well, I'll send the car back for you. When will you be done? So David, thanks for coming back for me. That was the last chopper I don't know. And then off George Ruiz and I went to a little power
Nap.
meeting, a little power nap. Thank you for
I'm
plugging the
picturing you
production
two
company.
spooning.
Yeah, George Ruiz, the great new media agent, and I met with the new head of programming for AOL, and I can't give much away at this point, but suffice to say, exciting conversations and deals for the chat show.
What?
Possibly being on the front page of AOL.
Does that mean they'll give me my AOL service for free?
We did negotiate that at the meeting.
Great.
I said, Sam really needs a search engine.
Seriously.
Yeah. But details to come on that. Much like the mystery wheel of McMillan and Wife, McLeod, and Columbo. How Adam
You're old.
How does right?
You're really old.
How does Adam Carolla, Kevin Smith, and Kevin Pollak chat show sound as a mystery wheel?
Boy, that sounds good.
Yeah. So AOL's in the works, and we will report as things get solidified. And now I believe it's time to answer.
Smith and Jason Mewes would have to be McMillan and Wife.
Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are McMillan and Wife. Oh
He would clearly be Columbo.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure why she said that, but let me ask you a question. I don't remember you smoking when I came in, and yet I found a butt. It was Jason Mewes, and it was covered in mayonnaise. All right. This question, and the Ask Kevin, if you want to have your questions.
Ask Kevin.
There's the graphic. Isn't that lovely? Mm-hmm. It scares me every time. Just write to contact@kevinpollakschatcha.com, and we will do our best to answer your questions. By we, of course, I'm referring to myself and the voices in my head. This first one comes to us from Swamp Donkey, because that's a name. And Swamp Donkey asks, I think Jack White would be an awesome guest for the show. Ever thought of having him on there? Plus, wouldn't hurt to have him be your first musical guest to play a tune. Swamp Donkey, there's no longer any question in my mind where you got the name. We've had several musical guests. Kurt Smith, for example. I think he was our first, wrote the closing credits theme to the show, brought it with him and surprised us. Did he perform on the show? No, but Dan Byrne did. Getting back,
Jordan.
and oh yeah, Jordan Katz did bring a little banjo music to the...
I just did a play with Lyle Lovett.
Did you? Mm-hmm. We'll get to you in a minute.
All right.
That was fantastic. At 14 minutes and 31 seconds of the hour, somebody make a note. Easily will be my favorite moment of the entire 2-hour stretch.
That's why people tune in.
In fact, if you're listening to us now, go ahead and switch the dial. Anyways, Jack White, I spoke to the manager, Matt Pollak, another brother from another mother, about having Jack White on the show. And the word absolutely was used, which means never happened.
Oh.
Huh?
Oh, that's too bad. You know what else we should get is Mozart. He would be good. He would be very good on the show.
And that's why we have him here. Every 93 minutes, he brings the funny.
Thank you.
The Jacksonville Observer is the topic. This one is by MBS III. Dear Chat Show, I recently, or sometime in the last 5 minutes, visited your website for the first time. I did, however, at first misspell your name, erroneously adding the letter C before the K in your last name. Good thing you did last name, not the first name, because that would be weird. I found it odd that should a would-be visitor to your website mistakenly visit the URL, and then we're throwing it up on the screen there, Kevin Pollak's chat show with a C in there misspelled brought them to the website of the Jacksonville Observer. Do you find this odd? Would you recommend bookmarking this Jax Observer for my more news-related needs? Thanks very much, Michael Bean Silva, Galveston, Texas. Yeah, we had once we got your letter there, thank you for that, we had our geniuses look into this situation, and apparently these guys have skyjacked the misspelling of my name as a URL.
Yeah.
Kevin Pollak's chat show with a C, they went ahead and decided to own that.
Yeah.
That's not fucked.
Couple of assholes.
What would happen, you think, if I emailed them and said, hey, we'd like that back? You think they'd probably just hand it over, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't ask for an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to call Eric Bishop and say, can I get my name back?
Right? That son of a bitch. Well, we'll talk about the soloist, since our guest was in it.
I have an apartment in Jacksonville.
Seriously, shut the fuck up.
All right.
And the last question before we get to our guest is from Sinky, Xinky, Sinky. Kevin, let me ask you, are you actually a game show host on the $1 Million Money telecast, or are you just a character acting like a game show host? Either way, you're terrific. Zinky. I refuse to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate me. I am thrilled to be shooting the shows. We shot all 13. They're still airing now. And if you have not seen the craziness that is the $1 Million Money Drop, check it out. I dare you. About, I don't know, easily 90% of the people who've seen it are crazy for this thing. It's just a fun game. The problem at present is that not enough people have seen it. So if you're listening, if you're within earshot and you've seen the show and you'd like to see more of them, I would suggest not writing your congressman, but rather everyone you ever met in your entire life. We've had a great response to the show, again, for the people who've seen it. It's been a trending topic on Twitter. It's had all this kind of success, #1 on Hulu. But apparently the Fox numbers need to go up a little bit. So it's Tuesdays at 9 o'clock following reruns of Glee, because that's helpful. But tune in, damn it. 8 o'clock Central, if you enjoy such a thing. And no, I'm not acting. I'm having really a shockingly great time improvising the show for an hour with these lunatics who try to hold on to $1 million. It's pretty bizarre. Sammy?
Yes, sir.
How much have you won so far watching the show?
Like $9 million. It hurts my soul that I can't ever be a contestant.
So we've had eight contestants. Contestants are always a couple. So 8 couples.
Yep.
3 of which have won.
Yep.
We've shown 3 winners. The highest was $260,000. But you have collectively over 8 shows would have won
$9 million.
Wait a second. There's only 8 million possible.
I bet you $1 million that I couldn't win all 8
8 out of
shows.
8. That's true. Congratulations, you won
Thank
9
you.
million. All right, and lastly, I did not see a Larry King game that I found worthy of doing on the show here. Normally, we offer up a T-shirt to a participant from the viewers who write in Larry King games. We've had several, and I'm going to ask you kids out there that are participating in this effort. Listen, a lot of my guests work blue when doing the Larry King game, and it's encouraged. I think Nia Vardalos, if you go to the site, she might. Well, actually, Dana Carvey went off on a tangent that was pretty fantastic. But yeah, they can work blue. You need to be a little more creative at home when you write them in. Every single one of Larry King games cannot involve his sphincter. All right? I'm just saying. Leave his testicles out of it and his sphincter. And we'll get...
Elaine's the one that collects them from the Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, they're all the same. They're all about my balls hang low. My balls hang low. It's just like,
These suspenders are here to keep up my nuts.
She's like, I get it. His balls hang low.
I need you to think outside Larry's box. All right. But we will see how our guest does today. Now he's been threatened not to work blue.
Dead now.
We've had some again. If you want to write to us at contacts@kevinpaul@chatshow.com. We've had some pretty wonderful character actors on the show because
and now there's me.
and we went through A through Z, and we're circling back. And when we got to the R's. And it's always a great joy for me, and we've had emails and comments from a lot of you that have commented, in fact, on how I seem to light up more and more when I have my ilk at the table, because it's as if we shared a foxhole in Nam, and that'll be the last time I say Nam on the show, by the way, because now I find it pretentious.
Charlie's in the trees.
Charlie's in the trees for Jamie, if you mention the Cheesecake Factory. But we worked together recently, and I harangued him to come to the table, and he was kind enough to say, "I'm sorry, who's this?" And then eventually say, "I have nothing to say, but sure." And I am just honored and thrilled beyond belief because all the character actors I've had on the show are the ones who inspired the hell out of me, and that's why I've invited them. Stephen Root, spelled correctly. Welcome, sir.
Very, very excited. These are my nipples that are incredibly hard from this air conditioning right here.
Oh, good.
I just wanted to say that. So go ahead.
Did you set it on 67 and fire? Maybe put it on auto so it. Thank you, Dr. Chen.
Thanks, Doctor.
And you got the memo about not wearing black, so that's good.
Exactly. Look, see, it's a blue.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there.
No, I like it.
Very nice. Thank you.
I'm trying to think of the 17 things you said off camera. Which one we should talk
I don't
about
remember
first.
any of them.
I do want to talk about the quick pilgrimage from the Sarasota, Florida. No, yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's in every bio that I think that
you're
ever
from
been
there.
Published me. Yeah, and I was there literally 3 weeks. I was born there. 3 weeks later, I was the youngest kid on a plane out of there to New Orleans,
Right.
where my brother was born, and we lived there for about 3 or 4 years, and then my dad was in construction. He built steam power plants for Abasco Services. And every year and a half they'd finish one, and then we'd go somewhere else. So I was like an Army brat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I went from, let's see.
Where were you in high school years?
Kansas City for 2. I went to Ruskin, and then I was delicately pulled out for a job, and my last year was in Vero Beach. So it's kind of awful, really, when I think about it, to be in a new high school for your senior year where you didn't give a shit about anybody.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, not to say that Vero Beach wasn't a great high school, but
Which beach is this?
Vero Beach
In
Florida, on the East Coast, up above Melbourne. Vero Beach, Fort Pierce, that area. So I went there, and then it was 1970, so it cost nothing to go to a state school. So I went to UF with a good, I think, a C- average.
nice.
And then I was stayed there for 7 or 8 years, and then went to New York and failed.
So in the summer of love,
Yes,
you were in your junior year. You're saying.
Casey Mo.
And how was that for you?
Oh, it was lovely, but in Kansas City we were listening to the Monkees and Paul Revere.
Sure.
So we didn't.
Herman's Hermits a little bit.
Oh, a little bit.
Dave Clark 5.
Always Dave Clark 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was a
Can't believe the
Hollies
Monkees
fan
were
before
mentioned.
anybody
You
else.
didn't even
Anybody
tell me.
else was too. I like the Hollies.
A Hollies fan.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. English pop.
Yeah. I love me the English pop too. Jamie, you had something to say.
Yeah, the Monkees are mentioned. You didn't even come to me. I'm like the biggest Monkees fan on the planet.
Well, oddly, the guest was talking.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was so every year and a half. So I was different places like being let's see, Casey, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas, Muncie, Indiana. You should pardon the expression, which my mom would say. You should pardon the expression, Muncie, Indiana. Sioux City, Iowa, that kind of stuff.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned that potential awkwardness of the senior year at a new school.
Yeah.
By that point, I'm guessing you're used to moving around, but son of a bitch, really now, this year?
Yes.
That had to have been the thought process.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, my best friend, my buddy, his family said, you can stay with us, but They didn't feel comfortable with that. So I had a chance, but didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you show up at the new school in Florida as a senior in high school, everyone embraced you. Hey, it's the new kid.
Fantastic. It's that fat guy from Kansas City. No, I was in track. I was a sprinter. I was actually okay.
And yet your memories of the fat guy?
And yet no. And then they said, "Oh, you're a sprinter. Okay. Well, why don't you go out for football?" So
wide receiver?
And no, so I ended up being, of course, on the JV, a tackling dummy, and then I hurt my back, and that was
that was it for the football.
That was it for the track and football and everything else.
But you loved running.
No, I liked sprinting. I really hated running, but I loved doing the 100 and the 220 and the medley relay, which were short, as am I. So,
did you feel as though if not for the football, you may have had more interest in track?
No, you know what? It was more of a being a shy loner kid anyway.
Sure, a way to fit into a group.
It was a way to fit into a group, and,
right.
And that was cool.
But not theater yet?
No.
Not till college?
No, God, never, no. I thought I was going to be, I didn't know what I was going to be, but when I got to UF, you had to pick something, so I picked journalism.
Right.
And
Which you hated after about a year or so.
Oh, because everybody started talking like this, and they thought it was great.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. If you just stayed with it, you could have ended up by a bridge, an off-ramp, with a sign, I need food, and I talk like this.
And I talk like this.
And then you'd be on the Today Show.
Fantastic. No, Phil Hartman could do it very well. I can't do it as well as Phil used to do it.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, he used to do those guys great.
You two guys from The Simpsons?
Kent Brockman and Troy McClure?
Troy McClure.
Troy McClure, uh-huh.
Troy McClure.
Yeah.
Some of the best quotes that you guys are throwing about, usually.
Out with Gout 88. You might remember me from such telethons as Out with Gout 88. Or Let's Save Tony Orlando's House.
What about the Driscoll kid?
The blinding of Eddie Driscoll.
Yes, I remember that one.
Firecrackers, the silent killer.
2 minus 3 equals negative fun.
Equals negative fun.
Yeah.
He did have a way with that voice.
He was very funny, that man.
Well, we can jump around, and I say why not. Let's talk about that. The Newsradio.
Then we're going to talk about Andy Dick.
Oh, well.
It's basically what people want to talk about is Andy.
Last hour
Andy on
is Andy
show.
Dick. You had done a lot of guest star work prior to
I was like a Botchko boy, I'd do that stuff. And
my friend, it looks
stuff.
like a who's who of the 90s. I made note because I thought, wow, this is really representative. LA Law, Blossom, Chicago Hope, Sybil, NYPD Blue, Party of Five, Roseanne, Night Court, Murphy Brown, Northern Exposure, Home Improvement, Seinfeld.
All the TV you wanted to see in the 90s.
If you've heard of any of these. So that's what you were doing, ridiculously busy, running up and down the scale of the guest star stuff. And that came about, my understanding from your dossier, is that you were in a road company.
Right.
Of Driving Miss Daisy.
See.
And,
which is one of the greatest jobs I ever had, because it was 2 years on the road with Julie Harris. Hello! Greatest actor of her generation.
Yeah.
So, and Brock Peters, just as amazing.
So you're basically studying at the feet of greatness.
Oh my God, so wonderful.
Yeah.
And the first tour we did was 6-week stops, so we actually had time to
get to know a town.
Yeah, and then the last one was week stops, which was tougher. But just being with them for 2 years was phenomenal. Great.
It must have been.
Yeah.
Give me a favorite awkward moment from that tour. Maybe from something that happened in the audience.
Wow, it's such. You'd think in that play that there would be something weird, but there never was. Mm-hmm. You know what Julie's favorite thing was? We got a review in Kansas City that never mentioned the name of the play, never mentioned anybody who was in the play. It was just a review of how
the car.
No, they liked the experience so much that the actress changed at the end. They came out and going, "Hi, how are you?" Just did the show, but it was her most favorite review because it it didn't review the show. It just reviewed the magic of the show.
Oh,
it was very cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and she gave it to everybody.
In fact, I wish more reviewers would do that.
Me too. I don't want to know what happens in the show because 90% of reviews these days are about what
storyline, plot lines.
Fuck that.
Moments.
I hate that so much.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't even want your opinion of the play. I'd rather you just talk about the experience
that you had,
that the audience was having.
Yes.
That's the part that is missing from almost every review that makes me crazy.
It makes me insane because I can read the first paragraph of a review now and the last.
Right.
Because that's the only real interest that I have of it. I don't want to know what happens in it. I want to go see it.
How about give me directions to the theater?
Lovely.
Put that in the review.
Take that.
How do I get there? All right, so then you, how does the Newsradio thing, is it just your basic audition like so many others, or?
Yeah, well, it was really my second regular show because I'd done about 1.5 years on Hearts of the West with...
Yes. The great...
Yeah,
I have written
Lloyd
down.
Bridges and Lloyd and it was kind of a Western exposure instead of Northern exposure.
Right.
That CBS didn't turn it. We wanted it to be real kind of weird, and they didn't want to turn it that way, so it went away. But that was my first regular gig, and then it was more guest stuff, and then this was a regular audition. They wanted somebody for Jimmy James that was in his late 50s. You know, kind of an Ed Asner type thing, and I was at the time I was 42, I think, something like that. I don't know. But I brought in kind of more of a twisted thing, and then Paul started writing. Paul Sims created the show, started writing for that. But Jimmy directed the first 6.
Jimmy Burrows.
Jimmy B.
One of the maybe the most in-demand television sitcom director of the last 25 years. And
directed every pilot that you've ever seen, probably. But he and Paul worked with me after Paul initially saw me in an audition. He said, "Oh, that's weird. Let's explore that."
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
if we could, because I had read in the dossier that you had actually made some very odd choices in how to play the character, which inspired Paul. And Jimmy, with Jimmy's encouragement,
very much
to make the guy eccentric.
But had they not wanted to go in that direction, I mean, it was an odd choice because I wanted to make him. You just didn't know whether he was an idiot or an idiot savant, and I thought that was an interesting way to go with the guy. You didn't know he was brilliant or just fucking stupid.
Right.
And if Paul and Jimmy hadn't found something that they liked in that and directed me towards the final network audition that way, then it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
But
how many guys at the test for Jimmy James?
I don't think there were any other that I saw. And I remember specifically that Andy went in before I did. And as the door was closing, I remember Paul saying, "Now Andy doesn't audition well," and Andy's like, And of course he auditioned very badly, but it didn't matter. He wrote the part for Andy.
Right.
So Andy got the part. But I think I just went in and did my stuff. I had a couple of scenes prepared, and they only wanted to see one. Felt really good. It's one of those ones where you go, I think I got a good chance at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you're doing the series, there was, I imagine, more support and interest in you, in the character.
Yeah, well, then all his writers, which were all under 18, I think, at the time, wrote for him that way.
I think probably everyone knows Paul Sims likes his boys.
His boys, because they only wrote from 3 in the morning to 5.
Right.
And they played video games before that, which was fine. And then we'd have to wake up Paul on the sofa in the studio for a run through. But it was a great time. Great time.
A ridiculously talented, eclectic cast.
I'm so spoiled forevermore.
Yeah.
Because of it, I worked on some good sitcom shit, but on what was nice about this show was the phone page could throw out a joke, and okay, take it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
You
doesn't
had
happen anymore.
Utility players and long ball hitters in every position.
And everybody wrote for everybody else. Dave, of course, wrote for everybody. Phil would write for Dave. Phil would write for Andy. Andy would write for Joe, and Joe would just get mad.
Wow. And so, unlike the West show they'd done prior to that,
Hearts of the West.
Hearts of the West, which the network didn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
Here's a show that is starting to find an audience, is starting to feel like its own, and what is that experience for you?
Well,
I mean, aside from having fun.
I'll tell you what I thought was a mistake was Paul wrote this show. He had just come from the HBO show, Larry Sanders.
Yeah.
And so Paul was writing for a show without an audience that didn't have a studio audience.
Right.
So when we were doing the first 6 shows, and like a character would come on and the audience was like, woo, Paul would cut all that out because he was used to, he didn't want that to interfere, and I think that was wrong because the audience wanted to go and be supportive of those people. So if some of those early shows, you'll see just weird, odd silences where Paul just cut it out. He cut out the audience. So I don't remember my point was. But it was, the first 6 shows with Jim B were great.
Yeah.
Because there were scenes that we would not even write until audience day. I mean, they would sit over there and we'd say, what would you say? Jimmy, well, I'd say this. And what would you say? Okay. And it would turn out to be the best scene in the show.
Holy crap.
It was great at Gonzo Theater. It was great.
But as the show is starting to find an audience, and it feels like it's going to be a regular job.
Mm-hmm. Then they moved it.
Yeah. They put it on a different night.
We moved, I know at least 7 times that we know of.
Seriously? That we know of?
Yes.
At some point you can't even track it anymore.
No, I mean, at some point in the promos, we just started making fun of the network.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like that.
I can't imagine. But the sense of play every day at work is ridiculous.
Ridiculously
To
fun.
this day, you are recognized, I'm sure, every week, if not more, from people who love the character.
I think I'm recognized for 2 things, 2 things, maybe. That's one.
Office Space.
Office Space, the other.
Right.
That's it. I mean, on my grave, it'll be
But the amount of work, seriously,
Yeah.
you can't undermine the potency of those 2 roles, as opposed to, well, really those are the only 2 things worth noting. No. Countless things. And it just tells you what an impact, when you're in the middle of it, of a news radio, and you're getting moved around, and you're having this run, and you don't feel like the network support is where it should be, and you're
didn't care. We were having fun.
You couldn't possibly care.
We didn't give a shit what the numbers were. We didn't care.
Right.
We were creating. We thought we had something special.
Yeah. Well, to comedy fans, to real fans of subtlety and nuance and performance and character study, as opposed to laugh, laugh, beat, laugh, laugh, beat, laugh, laugh, beat. Yeah.
Yeah.
The show was unbelievably special.
Thanks. I'm really proud that I was a part of it.
Yeah, really, it had to have been one of the greatest jobs ever.
Was.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, it completely spoiled me for any other sitcom. I did a couple of guest star stuff and pilots and stuff, and none of it there was no magic like that.
Yeah.
So you're lucky if you get one. I got one, so
Yeah.
I'm lucky.
Well, and also the great thing is that you guys knew it while you were doing it.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
Yeah. Well, you had fucking Vicki Lewis, triple threat.
Oh, God.
Sing, dance, and brilliant comedian.
Saw her in a Mammoth play and she blew me away. She's just ridiculously talented.
Unbelievable. Maura Tierney, who was scared of doing comedy, and every minute that she was on the show, didn't think she was any good. Brilliant.
Hasn't stopped working in television
No.
since. Yeah.
But was.
But not often allowed to be funny.
Not often allowed to be funny, and she is, because
Yeah.
her timing is so ridiculously good.
Yeah.
And we were so lucky, because everybody's timing was crazy good.
Well, that was, yeah. Yeah, the fact that Andy Dick wasn't the only lunatic on the set, I think helped.
Andy is still one of the most brilliant physical comedians ever. He was.
I believe you're the first and last person to say that, just so you know.
Think he is.
Yeah.
Think he is.
Well, he must have blown your mind with
he blew me away every day.
Yeah.
In rehearsals, stuff you never saw.
Right.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Like Michael Richards. And when I went over and did a Seinfeld, and Michael was doing some scene with some ropes in a bank or something.
Yeah.
None of it ever made it on the air. It was like Jerry Lewis. It was so funny. But, you know.
Right. No, I had heard that about Andy, actually, that his physical comedy was
so good.
Beyond what he was allowed to do in most situations, in terms of...
And again, timing.
Yeah.
He was amazing. And I think the most underrated actor on the show is Dave.
Yep.
Because Dave started as this fresh-faced kid, and by the end of the show, his character arc was a defeated old man, you know, with Andy coming up going, I'm still here with you. And it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Dave was phenomenal as an actor on that show. But he would also direct, even though he wasn't credited as director. I think he did direct one. But he would direct a lot. He got a lot of shots going in that show that were much more interesting than what we had. So I find Dave completely underrated in that show.
Yeah. Well, like you said, everyone was so ridiculously talented. And let's talk about Phil Hartman, which we've somehow left out of it.
Crazy film.
Oh, my God. One of the most... I remember when I first was seeing... on Saturday Night Live, and I remember he would be like sixth lead in the sketch with 8 players.
Yep.
And his character that he was playing was just like the manager of a nightclub where the scene would just sort of pass him by and he'd be standing outside the women's room and he'd have like one line in the sketch. And you would go, wait, come back to the guy standing outside the ladies' room.
Yeah.
He was instantly mesmerizing in his choices. And on that show where it's so seat of the pants and last minute changes and everything, it was bizarre to me how not only just off book he was, but how his characters...
He was always he was the guy on our show that would have the tabs in the script. Tabs, completely prepared.
Yeah. Well,
none of the rest of us did anything like that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There was a sense of... well, he was the anal retentive chef, as it turns out. So I imagine, as one of the utility players who's hitting the ball consistently, it must have been ridiculously fun.
Yeah, he told us, we had to beat him up a little bit in the first season because he had, coming from Saturday Night Live, they had so much competition to get their sketch on the air, what's something they'd written, and it would be thrown out in the last minute.
Yeah.
And
he was a great writer.
He was, but I think he thought when he came to our thing was like it was the same thing that
They'd
people
have to compete.
would do, and there was no such thing.
Right.
So we'd go, Phil, just whatever, fine, and somebody would throw something and he'd be a little. So we beat him up a little while in the first season, and then he was like,
yeah,
it's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that he brought the baggage.
Yeah, he brought some baggage.
Well,
but it didn't last long because you can't last long in this in our atmosphere because Joe would first of all tell you were full of shit and that you should die immediately. You know, as he would walk in and throw the script down and say, "Who wrote this shit?" every week. It was Joe kept a lot of things real, and it was great.
Well, you can't take too much away from SNL that isn't pain and
I don't know.
injury related from everyone that's ever talked about it in terms of the competitiveness, and that's sort of the way that the ringmaster Lorne keeps everyone on the same playing field is to create a healthy form of competition among the writers and players, and so I'm not shocked, I guess, that he brought that.
He brought some of that, but again,
once you got through it.
Yeah.
And once he realized he could actually relax and play.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because having come from Groundlings, where it was nothing but play, but you didn't spend any time in improvisational
Nothing.
theater.
It frightens the shit out of me.
Now, why is that?
Well, because I came from straight theater, and
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare. Yeah. No, I got right out of school and went into this non-equity bus and truck that was out of New York called the National Shakespeare Company.
Yeah, you did.
And we would rehearse up in Woodstock, for 3 weeks, and we'd put up 3 shows in 3 weeks. It was a 12-member company, and we were triple cast in each show.
Oh my God!
So by the end of it was a 9-month tour of the country in a Trailways bus, 12 people. you did everything from setting up.
Was there any sex and drugs involved?
Always. And we did everything from act, and we'd run off stage, do like Q7, and come back on stage as another person, run off stage, do sound Q4. We did everything. So after that, everything was easy.
That was basic
in terms
training
of, yeah.
beyond.
But I was always, you know, from I started in college doing it, but I like rehearsal.
Yeah.
You know, I like it because I can develop some timing that way. I have some natural timing, but I like rehearsal.
Well, when was the first time you were forced to sort of improvise in this situation and realize that how different it was and how much you didn't like it? Because it must have happened at some point during the theater training or the theater experience.
Maybe theater games. I guess. I mean, you know, a lot of people's minds move quick, and mine's nah.
Well,
I always felt. I got to say, I always felt inferior to even all the news radio people because they were boom, 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 boom. I was a little bit older than everybody else. I felt like I was going boom, boom. But if I had time to rehearse, I could go.
Well, I don't know if you. It was painfully obvious to you, or whether it took a while for you to observe, but the improvisers have way bigger envy for those who actually utilize rehearsal. I mean,
and I have way bigger of people than just go ba-dum and go somewhere else and ga-dum. That's not me.
I mean, the grass is always greener, I guess.
No, I think so.
I remember early on meeting some ridiculously brilliant stage actor. What do you do? I'm a comedian. Oh yeah, I could never do that.
Never.
Stand in front of an audience.
Shit myself daily. Could never do it.
No. Give me a script. I don't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then my first experience on a first dramatic movie, Avalon, surrounded by some of the greatest stage actors. Armin Mueller-Stahl, who was Olivier of Germany.
Yeah.
Joan Plowright, who was Mrs. Olivier, but also a brilliant actress in her own right. And then of my generation, Aidan Quinn and Elizabeth Perkins come from great Chicago theater. Right. Everyone wanted to rehearse. Lou Jacoby, a great theater.
Yeah.
They all wanted to rehearse. And fortunately for me, Barry Levinson said, oh no rehearsal. It all has to be spontaneous. And look, you'll go to lunch. You're a family. You'll go have some meals. You get to know each other.
It'll be great.
Now as a comedian, I'm going, this is great. Because if I have to rehearse, they're going to find out.
I know. I've been waiting for the theater police for years.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So that's why I was curious about if there were experiences where
I can't think of anything, you know, specifically that would turn me off to that. I mean, I've since, you know, done it on a couple of shows, and it's been okay. You know, you get through it and you go, oh, that wasn't so bad.
It's
if
a
I did
different
more
drug.
of it, maybe that I would be okay, but so deep set in my head, you know.
Yeah, and I think it becomes a drug for most people who need to improvise on stage.
Yeah,
they would really rather not rehearse.
Yeah. Well, I just did this show Justified with Tim Oliphant.
Oh right,
the Elmore Leonard thing.
Yeah,
and what was fun about doing that show, we had John Avnet directing.
Wow.
And he likes to say to everybody, well, let's see what happens. And it's like, and that's great.
Right.
Because we didn't really rehearse much.
Everyone brought their own.
Everyone brought their own stuff, but he liked to just throw, you go here and you go here, and what would happen? Just what would happen? And that was fun. And sometimes it's fun. Because you still have the words you have to say eventually, but it was fun, and it was kind of like that experience. But, you know,
right.
Odd for me.
Where does that project stand, by the way?
Oh, they're in their second season.
Right.
They're doing good. I had great fun with Tim Oliphant and all the guys. And my buddy Nick Searcy is on that
Love
show.
Nick Searcy.
He's the man.
I think we met I met him also on the Earth to the Moon.
Exactly. He was like the mainstay.
That's how we met.
Yeah. And so he's the sheriff on the show, so blast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so fun.
Let's talk about the Earth to the Moon, because you ended up going to the big premiere at the White House.
I did.
Right?
Yes.
That was the first time we...
I said to Hillary, thanks for having us over.
Yeah. Listen, Stephen, if you could stay away from my wife, I'd appreciate it, because she's going to need her some.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there were 13 astronauts there for that premiere.
Holy shit.
13 astronauts. And John, when he was still with us.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was very cool to go to that. We saw it in the West Wing. So it was awesome.
Was that your first time in the White House?
Oh, first and last.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that experience. So, you said Tom Hanks directed the first episode that you were in, because you were in 5 or 6 episodes, I think.
You were in more than one.
I was in just one.
Just one?
Joe Shea, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was really sort of cool and exciting.
And Chris Kraft, who I played, was at the White House, and who I was walking next to down the hall to go watch it, and he's here, and I said, "Hi, I'm Stephen Root. I'm playing you."
You hadn't
as
met
a
prior?
Younger man, hadn't met prior, and he said, "I hope you enjoy it." And he said, "I hope so."
Yeah. And you talked to him afterwards?
And he did.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's hard to find, a nice guy reputation aside, which is ridiculous in Tom Hanks, but it's hard to find someone more geekly enthusiastic about the space program.
He was all that and WW2.
And of course the World
but
War II.
he's a complete geek about it.
Oh my Lord.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
That sort of enthusiasm rules the day because it carries and lifts everybody.
And it lifted this project. It was what a huge, great
That
project.
might have been in one of his early, if not first, directing single camera, I have to wonder.
Maybe, I don't know.
And how was he as a director?
It was great.
Other than being enthusiastic and happy.
Always prepared and great, yeah.
I'm trying to remember who was Tak Fujimoto his DP? Do you remember if it was on that one?
I don't remember.
Yeah, there are too many projects between now and then, my friend.
Oh.
So you shoot this thing, and is there early talk while you're shooting it as to whether it's going to the White House for the premiere, or is that something that happens later?
I think that's, you'd have to have time.
Because that's one of those phone calls that,
Yeah.
by the way, they'd like you to go to the White House for the screening. That has to, I've never had that. That's got to be insane.
Yeah, I can't imagine how I have no idea how that happened. I remember being, for that project, I was stretched thin because I was still doing Newsradio.
Oh, Jesus.
I was still doing King of the Hill, which I was doing at the same time anyway. And then I got this. So I was doing 3 projects at once, going back and forth from Orlando, doing them all.
That's when your agents and managers actually earn their pay for the first time, is working
Yeah,
that
I think
out.
that's the hardest I ever worked, because flying back and forth, doing all 3 shows at once.
Yeah.
That was great, but it was hard work.
You felt like you were really in show business.
I felt like I was stretched a little thin, but yeah, no, it was good.
Well, let's talk about why you're doing Newsradio. This thing called King of the Hill comes up.
Yes.
You had done some voiceover work prior to that.
Not much.
Right.
Not much, but
Mike Judge.
Mike Judge had known I'd done Southern stuff before.
Right.
So when I came in to do that, he knew that I had done some Southern stuff.
And he really wanted a lot of voice actors who had done Southern stuff.
Yeah, and he tried. I tried out for Dale first, the Dale voice, and that didn't. It was not.
The one he ended up doing.
No.
Sorry,
Dale
Hank.
was
he did
his
Hank.
friend with the
Hank,
cigarette. Yeah, he did Hank and Boomhauer.
Right.
Which is fantastic. Which he can switch without, no. He didn't have to stop and do Boomhauer and then Hank. He can do them back to back, which I could never do. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I had an affinity for
Dale.
a stupid guy. Yeah, no, I didn't have an affinity for Dale, but for Bill, I felt I knew Bill from
He's not
all the
stubborn.
Bubbas that I've ever known.
He's not stubborn at all, Bill.
Bill is William Fontaine de la Tour d'Artrive. Him, I knew from all the Bubbas that I'd work construction for my dad in the summers on the power plant.
Sure.
And what we do, I would fucking dig ditches. One year I dug ditches literally for 8 hours a day in the hole.
At what age?
16.
Right.
One year I was an oiler on a crane. One year I was, I can't remember what else I did, something else. But it was I was in the labor union, had my union card, go in there, and we'd play hearts at lunch. And all these Bubbas with their, they'd have all their boots and they'd all be tucked in there. They'd be playing hearts, And so I had an affinity for Bill from all those guys.
Right.
Working construction. I figured I could do him.
Was there any one in particular, or just all those guys
All of
together?
them. All of them.
There wasn't one that...
I guess there was one foreman that I had named Bud. he's probably the most. I used most of his stuff.
And what did Bud do that stuck with you, do you think?
Bud shouldn't have been on a power plant. Shouldn't have been anywhere near where people might get hurt.
Where intelligence
because
was needed?
Intelligence was needed, and or foreman-like qualities. No, he was. And I remember his favorite employee was Jewfish. We call him Jewfish.
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 Because?
Well, I don't know. But they like to go fishing, and and I don't know. But yeah, Bud was a trip. So I used
big gefilte fish fan.
Yeah, Sammy, any idea why someone would get the name Jewfish?
It's a lot of matzah, a lot of gefilte fish, maybe some whitefish, lox, bagels, that kind of.
Well, Jewfish had just come out of prison. He apparently murdered somebody, but he didn't mean to.
The Jews rarely mean to murder anyone.
I know.
Just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it happens,
Right.
but rarely
do
on
they
purpose.
mean to actually point and shoot.
He got in the way.
I don't know.
I wasn't aiming. So Bud inspired a little bit.
But a little bit of it.
So
yeah.
you meet with Mike Judge, and you say, "I think I got this."
Yeah. Well, yeah, and once I actually. Well, I did it over the phone, and he was in another room or another part of the city, or had to do something that day. I don't know, but it was one of those, those three-legged boxes in the thing, and I finished my audition, and looking at the box, and I hear, "Well, that's about as funny as that can be," and he said, "And I got the job."
Oh my God!
Yeah.
How long around, Mike, before you started doing a flawless impersonation of him? Didn't take long.
No, I'm not as good as he is. But that's him.
Yeah.
He's the sweetest guy in the world. Do you know him?
No.
He's good music. He's a great musician.
Is he?
Yeah, and sweet man. I think he's doing some more Beavis stuff now,
Right.
Which would be cool, because that's what made him anyway.
Yeah, and well, you worked with him on. When Office Space was starting to
Gestate.
Mm-hmm. How is this? Well, you know what? Let's
All right.
Let's stay a little more in the
In King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
Well, King of the Hill, because I was hired to do.
Because that's one of the greatest jobs on the planet.
It was the greatest show on the planet.
Yeah.
We all miss it every day, because I think it was.
Well, you had 12 years.
13.
13.
And they canceled us officially at 10, and then went, no, come on back.
And that's always fun. Every year waiting for the one more.
Axe to fall, yes. But it was a well-written show, I thought. He always had really interesting writers come and go on that show, and it was really dry, and so it was great fun to do while I was doing Jimmy, to do have another outlet as well. To do it. I think by the end of both shows, they were just both the same. Bill and Jimmy ended up being the same.
I don't see how that's possible.
I don't either. But if you look at it, maybe it might happen.
It starts to make sense.
There was some crossover sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. What happens there when you bring a little too much Bill to the?
Well, my wife
the
usually
Jimmy
says
role.
that to me these days. She'll go, there's some Bill in that. And I went, yeah, I know, but honey, that's me. There is a lot of Bill in me, yeah.
At some point, it is. We can't blame it on
Can't.
Bud. Can't just point the finger at Bud.
There's only so many tricks I have.
Yeah.
And that was one of them.
So you have the greatest job on the planet. You've got Kathy Najimy,
Ah.
who's been on this show, who
Yes.
I've known forever, and she is a delight and hilarious.
And who would have ever thought she'd be perfect as Peggy?
No one?
No one on earth. And she's perfect. She was perfect. Brittany started the show when she was 18.
Oh, that's right.
18.
Yeah.
Just starting to break when she started to do that show. So we saw less and less of her as she did more and more movies.
Sure.
But what a sweet spirit she was. She was great.
So while you're doing The King of the Hill, Mike is working on Office Space.
Yes.
And the script comes to you, and
what happened was he had to do a reading for Fox.
Right.
Top. So we got a couple of us from King of the Hill and a couple of other character guys. He was thinking about doing it. And originally I was reading one of the Bobs. Mm-hmm. I read the psychiatrist who dies, and got something else, and we're walking over to do the fucking read, and Mike was going to do Milton, and he says, why don't you try? I'd like to just watch it. I said, oh, thanks for the prep.
Yeah.
And he goes and he shows me the 2-minute pencil sketch.
For someone who likes to rehearse.
Exactly.
You hadn't had any time to work on the voice.
No, no time to work on this.
One of the most peculiar characters in cinema history. You have no time to prepare.
Except to go look at this 2-minute pencil sketch that he had done for MTV, maybe? Is that right?
MTV, I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And he showed me that right before. And he said, the voice is, these weird little...
He had done the voice for
He had done the voice for Milton in that. And he said, well, just, do something along those lines. And so, and when I started doing as much, rehearsals as I could before we did the actual read, I thought it was fun to give him a little lisp, just a little one.
Yes.
A tiny lisp. And... I don't know.
How close was the ultimate version in the film to what you did for the table people?
Pretty close.
Really?
Pretty close, because it was one of those things where I locked onto it, within the first part of the read.
What clicked it for you to be able to lock on, do you think? Was it just the lisp, or was it a certain...
The lisp helped me a lot to get into it. And the fact that I could improvise a little as he mumbled, because I would improvise a little stuff, even though it was very tight script, and what we shot in the movie was very tight. There was not a lot of improv in that movie. People think there was, but there was some, and there's some great.
Well, those rave-offs that you do.
Yeah, some of those, and I for the movie I wrote, my favorite line that I wrote for the movie was, "And the squirrels, they were married." to find a way that Milton could wrap his head around.
I'm sorry, Stephen. I wish I could remember that line. If only you could recreate.
Oh God.
The moment.
I'm not even good at it anymore. Everybody that comes up to me now is so much better.
What is that like? Because you talk about indelible mark that one can possibly make with a piece of work. I can't fathom the type of people that come up to you doing their version. And it's usually much better than mine. But that was my favorite line that I hooked into Milton on, because it was the only way I could think of Milton would say what Milton would say to see two squirrels fucking on a wire. They were married. So that hooked me into it a little bit. I don't remember the question. Oh, the question was, give us a little, you son of a bitch.
You fuck.
Well, what?
I was told I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes for people to just shit themselves. Trust me, because it's one of those characters. And forgive me, because I've been on the other end of that more times than I care to remember. But the truth is, it's just a few seconds of that particular character, and people are, I'm good. That's what I needed to get through this week.
Through the day.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
So fun. I mean, it's just fun.
When you find a character like that, that is created by a nutty genius,
yeah,
and written beautifully.
It's written
but then
well.
also giving you the support and faith to bring your craziness to it.
Mm-hmm. It's such a gift. It's like Newsradio was a gift. I felt that movie was a gift. Coen Brothers, Oh Brother was a gift. Little gifts that you get.
Yeah.
And you can't really take. You do the best you can do with them, but you can't take credit for these are great writers and directors and stuff that you've worked with. So
when you have all those elements lined up,
yeah,
the great writing and the great parts, it does put it gives you a certain strength as a utility player. Mm-hmm. However, what I'm curious about in regards to what I read is how during the audition for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, you felt the need to get up off your chair and get into their face.
Where did you read that? That's true, but that's true.
Can you share a little bit of the story? Because I found it to be. Here's the thing that I would like you to share.
Okay.
What drives an actor to take a chance? What drives an actor to not just want to leave an original or an authentic impression, but drives an actor, like we got to a little bit of it on Newsradio, which is, I'm going to bring in something different because that's how I need to play it.
That's I wouldn't if they didn't want to play it that way, I wouldn't have wanted to do it.
Right.
Because that was what I had in my head. It would to do it as a straight sitcom boss.
Yeah.
You know.
But
I couldn't do it.
I read that you sort of, this was a chance to do the type of characters that the Lou Grants, the certain characters.
Wanted to do that.
Desperate
I wanted to be Lou Grant.
But then you made
But I wanted to be a twist. I wanted to be a bent Lou Grant.
Right.
You know, because that's my gig.
So was that your first? Oh Brother was your first time with the Coen Brothers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah.
So you get.
So that was a straight audition. And again, they wanted somebody older.
Right.
But I wanted
character blind as written.
Characters blind as written, and I felt I had, I actually was able to have a couple of days and just think about it and rehearse it with myself. But I wanted to, they were that close, and I wanted to let them know. So I started, and they said, "You ready?" And I said, "Okay." And I took on, and I started. Like this, and they both went.
You scared him.
Freak! I scared him, which was good.
And
Ethan liked it.
Came at him with the eyes and the yelling.
And the yelling, yeah. But that's good because then I had it, and we didn't have to use anything else. I just did. I didn't have to use a weird eye or contact lens or anything. I just did it myself. I couldn't do it for very long.
Right.
Could do it for about 3 minutes, but it's better.
Yeah.
It's just me doing what I think that I should do. But that's a chance you take in auditions. Is this too much? Is this too much? I didn't think it was for them because they're cool.
They're cool.
Yeah.
And it's arch.
Yeah.
And that question has to be in your preparation, whether to dial it up or down.
I usually dial it up too much.
Let them bring you down.
Yes, exactly. And that's always what should happen. You bring boof and let them go, no, here. And that would happen in a lot of good things that I've done. It's like, just take it back here.
What else?
That's fine.
What else comes to mind like that?
Oh, probably the first audition I ever did for L.A. Law. I mean, I came in with these, big horn-rimmed glasses and da-da-da, and I had a whole character, and they went, take that off. Okay? Don't, just, okay, now go. And that's all, because I had done theater up to that point.
Right.
I was doing a theater audition, and that helped me learn to do a film audition. Those early things I did for Bochco.
Right. Because it was so small.
Yeah, you have to be small. And that's what was so great about doing Milton, because it was small but big.
Small but huge.
Small but huge. Enormous but small.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, yeah. Some of the most fun.
Yeah.
And to have people come up to you on the street and do their version of it, I can't imagine that ever getting...
It's always interesting.
Tiresome, even if it comes at an inappropriate moment, like you're having dinner with your family.
It's all okay, because that spoke to them. Whatever spoke to them.
At what point in the early goings of that did it go from wanting to say, I've done other work, to, this is amazing?
I'll tell you, it was not obviously a commercial success. It was, Fox didn't know what to do with it, so It was out for a couple of weeks. But it was when DVDs were burgeoning in 2000.
Right.
So it just got thrown out there with all of them, and it was word of mouth. And then I would see Gary, in some audition, he'd go, do you have people coming up to you doing, Gary had the same thing.
Yeah.
Doing, had people come up doing, said, do you have that? And I go, yeah, it's starting to get weird.
Well, for you, I would think it's especially weird because maybe initially you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah,
you just think
it was
some
odd.
freak's coming at you.
But then, it got to be huge after a couple of years, and then it was okay because people would come up with, the staplers, and I'd sign staplers for them, and I just expected it.
One of our very
wherever I would
own
go
spent
now.
the last 72 hours
Looking for red
desperately
stapler.
searching for his exact red stapler that
I
he's
bought
had.
him and
that,
he lost.
that Jamie, you bought him, and the whole plan was to have a special Sharpie to sign with, and the poor son of a bitch couldn't find it.
I signed 4 of them at Justified yesterday, the day before. It's an ongoing process in my life, which is great.
How great!
So it's great.
I love the character of Michael Bolton because I really identify with him.
Oh, me too. Oh, that's
'Cause of the name.
Dave Herman. Dave Herman.
That's my
And Dave Herman is the man that came up with the term ass clown. Nobody before Dave Herman.
No talent, ass clown.
Dave Herman, ass clown.
The actor improvised that?
Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
Yeah, you must have related to that, Jamie Foxx.
Always have, yeah, because every day it's like Michael Bolton. It's like the same thing with me every day. Jamie Foxx, your name's really Jamie Foxx. Well, he stole my name, but yes. That's
Wow, you really are a good actor, they say to you.
Yeah, every day it's something.
Assholes.
Oh, Dave Herman is brilliant.
Yeah, but making reservations at restaurants, come on, comes in handy, doesn't it?
Yeah, we got one great table at Tao in Vegas. And they kept coming by the table saying, I'm sorry, where's Jamie Foxx? We like to involve the audience. I'd like to do so now if you don't mind.
Yes.
They have gathered and they have a few questions.
All right.
Some of these questions come in the form of what we call around these parts, Tweet 5.
T5, T5, T5 forever now.
The amazing, crazy Dave Keckner.
Oh, Dave.
T5 is a rapid-fire 5-question process. This or that, Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer.
I see.
All right? Coming right at you, this one from Blues Man Jake. These come from the Twitterverse. You're not on the Twitter, I noticed,
Not on the Twitter, not on the Facebook.
but still on the booze.
On the drugs and booze since the 70s, correct. That's right.
Okay. Ready?
All right.
No correct answer.
Okay.
Action or voiceover?
Voiceover.
Football or dodgeball?
Football.
Boston or swing line?
Swing line.
Mike Judge or Seth MacFarlane?
Mike Judge.
What kind of a question was that? More knowing voice, Lovitz or Andy Dick? Not easy. Not easy.
I love Lovitz's voice.
Yeah.
I love his voice.
Do you?
I do.
Wow.
It's so,
Again, you're party of one here.
I know. I know. And because, what was great about Lovitz was when he came in, and God bless him for coming in for that 5th year, which is a disaster, but because all our rhythms were bum, 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 and John is da da da.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
da da da. So we had a really hard time going da da da.
Yeah.
Da, da, da. And God bless him. God bless him for coming in, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
We found a rhythm later in that season, but it was very tough.
it must have been, I imagine, on so many levels.
Well, Lovitz had come in and done a couple of episodes with Phil as a guest star.
Well, they were best friends.
Heaven.
Yeah.
I know, exactly. So that were heaven. But to come in as a regular and do it every week is tough, especially that. Tough. Anyway, go ahead.
Another tweet 5 from the audience. This one comes from @Andy Fleming.
T5.
Thank This one is pitting Kevin Smith and Mike Judge.
No.
See?
Oh.
You have to choose.
Oh,
Smith, Mike
that was the question?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say Kevin. I just did his movie.
I
Are you
know.
fucking kidding me?
This next one they might have screwed up, and then we can talk about why. Kindergarten Cop, White Oleander.
both movies I was cut out
from, right.
of. White Oleander.
Okay, that's correct. Hank, BMW, Mike Reardon.
Ooh. Mike Reardon.
Also correct. No correct answer.
I know.
Glee, CSI.
Glee.
Soggy Bottom Boys, Country Bears.
Soggy Bottom Boy.
Oh boy, do I love the Soggy
Oh, I
Bottom Boys.
love them so. I love T-Bone. I mean, he's the instigator of that whole frickin' movement.
And thank goodness he got such accolades from that, as well as the crazy Crazy at Heart. What was the
Yeah,
Jeff
Crazy
Bridges?
Heart.
Crazy Heart.
Yeah. Well, T-Bone is just ridiculously
Genius
great.
beyond belief.
Yeah, amazing.
And what a great soundtrack, Soggy Bottom Boys. So, after you scared the Coen brothers at the audition, and they backed away, and then ultimately hired you, we've had a couple of participants. J.K. Simmons spoke a bit about the Coen brothers.
He's a regular.
Somebody else, I'm trying to remember, spoke about the Coen brothers' experience. Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I have to watch that, see what he said about that.
It's on your iTunes.
Okay.
What is your experience with the two-headed genius?
Monster?
Yeah. In terms of creativity, you've worked with them a couple of times now.
They're one person.
Right.
They're one person. And it doesn't matter whether Ian says more in a directing scene or Joel decides to, although Ethan had more direction in the last couple that I did than Joel. But they're still one head. They just went, and then Ethan would say something.
Right.
So they're one head. And they're the most prepared directors I've ever worked with. Every scene is completely storyboarded. They know exactly what they're going to shoot, and they're usually ahead of schedule. When I was doing Lady Killers, they called me a week and a half before I was supposed to work, and they went, we're ahead. Can you come over today?
Holy shit.
I said, okay. Which is great. It was fine with me.
That hasn't
but they're that prepared.
Right.
You know, fantastic.
Freedom?
Yeah.
Within exactly what they want, are you allowed to do what you want?
Well, yeah, they give you one. They'll give you the last one. Because they'll do two, they'll do one, and then they'll maybe udge and do another one, and they'll say, okay, you play. And so a couple of things have come out of the last one. But yeah.
Is it that they know exactly what they want in every
Yes.
square inch of their composition, and then within that composition, you have a little more freedom to play because it's all so beautifully mapped out and storyboarded and lit?
No, because it's so completely tightly scripted. I can't.
Oh, sure. But I mean, I don't mean words do whatever you want.
What are you talking about?
I mean physically and
Yeah,
performance-wise.
Yes.
Make it your own.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the most fun.
I don't know how you ask for more than that.
You don't. It's the perfect thing. That's why, they want you to come take a dump. You say yes.
I wish you had taken a dump in True Grit because I really love that.
Hey, you know what? Dakin Matthews got the part I wanted to get, which was the Strother Martin part. And I just did a play with Dakin.
The Strother Martin part, the guy on the horse, the dentist?
No, the horse trader. The horse trader.
The best scene in the whole movie.
The horse trader. When he's
right.
with the little girl. Yeah, that was Strother Martin in the original movie.
Oh,
which is brilliant. You should go back and look at it.
Yeah, it's been forever. That's why I forgot.
Yeah, but they wanted somebody older and completely dig it. And Dakin is one of my heroes anyway.
Yeah,
so he's great.
I think it was Stephen Lang actually who played the role, covered in all that hair and craziness, out on the prairie there, who says he took the body for dental experiments, basically. I think covered underneath all that, just seeing the eyes. I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Lang. I didn't check the credits.
Yeah.
Somebody write in and tell us.
No, I thought they did a great job.
Elaine's
got to
know.
Great job.
Oh,
great
yeah,
job
brilliant.
on that movie.
Jeff Bridges.
Come on. Well, everybody. And Barry Pepper just channeled Duvall.
Yes.
He channeled Duvall. Hello?
Yeah.
Great.
Have you seen Get Low?
Loved it.
Oh, my God.
Billy Murray.
Unbelievable.
Who would think?
So underplayed.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
As I do. Whenever,
And the kid, Luke, from Sling Blade.
Yeah.
All grown up.
Fantastic.
Holy shit.
I thought that was a great movie.
Loved it.
Written by Chris Provenzano, who wrote my first Justified that I did.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he did.
How many of those have you done?
2.
I see. Oliphant, if you get a chance to see, what was the Gary Yates movie? Do you remember the name of it by any chance?
Oh, I don't remember.
These meth heads who decided to pull off a robbery, and of course it goes horribly wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And Oliphant's
It was a really good movie.
The lead.
Yeah, I have not seen it.
Ask him about it when you see him next,
I won't.
please, because our friend Gary Yates wrote and directed it, and it is fucking brilliant. And Oliphant was amazing.
Well, he's
Tron
just
Legacy?
good.
No,
Is
sir.
that what you're
Tron Legacy, that's what it was.
Legacy.
Sorry,
No,
it was
that
Tron
was
Legacy.
it.
Tron Legacy. Okay.
Tron Legacy.
I got to block that.
This tweet 5 comes to you from Daytona Tracy? Is that how she says it? Daytona Tracy. It's all one word. My brain doesn't work that way.
She's a regular.
She is, I know. She's a great
My
regular.
brain doesn't work.
Daytona Tracy wrote this one.
What?
It's at tweet 5 for you.
Oh, all right.
Florida, California.
California.
Jimmy James or Buck Strickland.
Oh, Jimmy, I guess.
Broadway or movies.
Ooh. Well, now
Hard.
movies, I guess, but it's not. It wouldn't have been my answer before.
Sitcom or voice work.
Oh, voice.
So reluctant. Favorite TV show of all time? Just a straight up question.
Jesus Christ on a stick.
I know. Let's go for the favorite TV show of all time that you worked on.
Oh.
Justified, of course.
Justified.
The one
yeah,
you're currently
apparently.
working on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard.
No, it's
it's
too
impossible.
hard. It's impossible.
It's impossible, Daytona Tracy, because there are 407 of them.
407.
That he's worked
Because
on.
I was really proud to be on West Wing, to be able to work on that show.
See, I know what the answer is.
Okay, what's the answer?
Jake and the Fat Man.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, here's the part that no one knows, because in my IMDb it said I only did one. I did two.
You did 2 episodes of Jake and the Fat Man.
Jake and the Fat Man. One filmed in Hawaii, one filmed here. That's the truth.
Did you ever get a chance to discuss with the great William Conrad what the phone call was like when his agent called with a project that they wanted him for called Jake and the Fat Man?
Well, that was my first Hollywood experience of acting with a man who's looking at cue cards right here.
Sure.
Everything that he did was on cue cards right over here, and you could just shift over and see him, but he was right there reading the cue cards because he was a radio guy.
Yeah.
So he never learned. He never learned his line. Didn't give a shit.
You gotta love that.
It was great.
Yeah.
And big cue cards behind your head.
I had that with Burgess Meredith on the Grumpy Old Men sequel, but he was in his 90s by then. Shouldn't be expected to memorize lines in your 90s.
No.
That's understandable.
He's one of my heroes,
William
too.
Conrad was still a fairly young man.
Barely. But it wasn't radio, and he did not give a shit.
Yeah.
He was great, though. He was great.
I always imagined that phone call, you've been offered your own show. Really? What's it about? Well, it's a detective thing. You're going to love it. Oh,
What's it called?
Well, here's the thing. They want you to start in a couple of weeks. And we got you a little bit more than twice your
What's it called?
previous quote. So you're going to be paid wildly. And it shoots here in L.A., so it shoots over at the Warner Brothers. It won't be far from your home.
And it's cold.
And they got this young guy to play opposite you. His character's name is Jake, and he really is fantastic. He's coming off this other thing. And you're the Fat Man. Now, as I mentioned, I need you to start on Monday. You need you to start on Monday, but you don't come in till noon.
Fat Man.
My other favorite would have to be the phone call to Raymond Burr to do Ironside. And the agent says, well, he runs every scene. And Raymond Burr said, no, I want to be in a wheelchair. And they said, okay.
All right,
We'll make sure I don't want to walk.
May I ask,
please?
since we're still talking about shows you've done, what about Seinfeld? Throw that into the...
Seinfeld.
I'm thinking, hey.
Jerry had just done a Newsradio that season, and he said, you want to come over and play? And I said, sure. And I do get, sorry, that's number 3. I was on one Seinfeld, single, uno, and that's probably the third thing that people come up to me for.
Seriously?
It's that frickin' Seinfeld. It's unbelievable.
I would think the True Blood thing, too, because that was freaky weird.
It is.
That was freaky weird,
Recently,
fantastic.
It was way fun.
And the last good season of that show.
Yeah, well, I probably...
It's not for you to say, but
I don't know.
You're too close related.
Tell you what.
Holy crap, were you great in that?
I wanted to do that because it was way out of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
and
way.
you have to do something if it's way out of your comfort zone.
I remember thinking
You
the
had to get
very same
scared.
thing watching it, saying, I'm not comfortable watching Steven in this situation.
Flipping his hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
Oh, thanks though. I loved it. I had a great time.
People come up to you on the Seinfeld and they act out the scenes.
Then
$20
no,
and a
no,
handshake.
they'll say,
What is it?
$20 and a handshake.
See, people know these things. It's amazing. But yeah, you're right. Maybe
We're
True Blood's
not
third.
good gauges.
Simpsons or Seinfeld, and these two knuckleheads won't
Critic. We were
stop.
calling quick critic earlier. We know too much.
Yeah, but maybe you're right. True Blood a lot, but Seinfeld because it's on every minute of every day.
Yeah.
People see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh boy, just fantastic.
Crazy.
Honest to goodness.
Dodgeball's another one. Everyone loves that movie.
Yeah, we both.
I get a lot of younger Dodgeball people.
I want to ask you about this because we both survived Rip Torn.
Just barely.
Oh my God.
Thank God I wasn't Justin fucking Long.
Because?
Oh my God, he just ripped Justin a new asshole every day, as he will tell you.
Was it classic paranoid schizophrenic?
Yes.
Because that was my
and
experience.
that he can't hear.
But shutting down production pretty much every day.
Unbelievable.
So apparently something happens at
And
lunch.
he's still the best thing in the movie.
Well, he steals every scene
He
he's
steals
in.
every scene he's in. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But he was.
How many times did he say during the production, I was on Nixon's list?
I heard that.
Yeah. Because that was the one that stuck with me. You know, I was on Nixon's list. All right.
Okay.
Didn't know Nixon had a list.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't confuse me.
Well, God bless him. I hope he's doing all right now.
I'm sure he's somewhere in a bank.
Somewhere in the bank. No, I think he's is he getting better now? I don't know. I haven't.
No, the
followed.
important thing is that you care.
I do care
Yeah.
that he gets better. Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
do.
wish him well.
I do.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my experience was,
It was
he
very
disrupted.
hard.
He
Very hard
disrupted
to work
production
with.
every day, and there are professionals in the hundreds
Yes.
working their asses to the bone. The crew I'm talking about, not the actors. They're sitting on their asses, but
Exactly.
the crew are killing themselves every
Yeah.
day. And
Yeah.
for any one actor or actress to every day have a problem with something, and that we all have to stop.
It was
now,
a tough. It was a tough.
It's just
shoot.
not fair, and it's not right, and it's bullshit, and it makes me crazy.
I agree, and I agree in the larger sense that why do you have to be an asshole?
Right.
You don't ever.
Ever. It's so much easier to be the nice guy.
It is.
Yeah. So Justin, I hadn't heard this prior.
Yes, Justin had a difficult time.
How do you mean?
I'll let Justin speak for himself.
you know, it's interesting you say that because we happen to have him right here. If we could bring Justin out.
Justin out. Right now, Justin Long, everybody. Justin Long.
Justin Long, he's got his shirt off,
Long.
thankfully, so we'll be able to see that he's in tremendous shape.
You know, Justin Long and I just did a movie together.
He's crazy funny. We just saw him on
crazy.
stage at Largo not too long ago.
Really?
And Paul F. Tompkins does this.
I would like to see that.
Excerpts from Michael Madsen's book of poetry.
Michael Madsen is a poet. I don't know if you knew this.
No, I
and he
did
has a
not
book
know
of
that.
poetry.
Okay.
And you have to.
He's the greatest.
Yeah. Next time you talk to Justin, ask him
Yeah.
about Michael Madsen's book of poetry.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But you just worked with Justin Long again on.
The Conspirator,
Really?
which is Robert Redford's film about the Lincoln conspirators.
Oh my God.
Yeah, fantastic.
Tell me more.
I got to play. Robin Wright's playing the lead in it, and James McAvoy. Just amazing, and get to work with Robert Redford.
The greatest.
There's only a few guys that.
Yeah.
You know, you go.
That's a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore moment. But I get to play John Lloyd, one of the guys who rats her out, and she's the first woman ever hung. You know, she owned the tavern where they were conspiring in. But that's the whole story of the picture. But it was great. We shot in Atlanta, and Justin plays a part in it, and it's like the last place we thought we'd meet in a period piece, 1860s. You know.
Oh, really? Yeah. That didn't seem obvious to you?
It didn't seem obvious to me. But I'm excited for that. That to come out. I think that's coming out in February, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to Dodgeball. You obviously had fun. There's some craziness going on.
Yeah, but it was physically taxing film to do because we did all the early throwing of the dodgeballs and all the dodgeball. When we had 2 weeks of dodgeball practice before the movie, and I was 50 at the time.
You didn't need to be throwing that much.
I didn't need to be throwing dodgeballs so much, but it was physically hard. I remember one day we were filming.
Who directed that?
The author.
Why am I spacing?
I'm spacing on his name. But
Sam, how do you not know that?
he was first
Because
time
they didn't
director.
hire me, so I blocked it all out.
Do you have that, by the way?
What? No, I'm old, so I can't remember anybody's name.
No, me either. But you work, to the untrained eye, you work constantly.
That's an untrained eye, yes.
As an artist, we never work as much as we want.
And I work as little as possible because I'm very, very lazy.
It seems like you're working constantly, nonstop. But are there situations where you really worked hard on an opportunity and it, for whatever reason, did not come your way? And is there any sense at all of competitiveness with missed opportunities? Or it's something that I find is a vein that runs through certain actors strongly and deeply, and others it's water off a duck's back.
Next one comes along.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be another movie, there's always going to be another TV show, and there's always going to be another piece of theater you can do. I think earlier in my career, in my 20s, I felt that way.
In your 20s, you felt competitive.
I felt like I'd missed things sometimes. I never feel that way now. I feel just glee and happiness that I get to do projects with people that I think are better than me most of the time, and I get to work with good people. So whether or not something I would really have loved to have done, I would have loved to have done Lions for Lambs. That's where I auditioned for Redford, got the part, couldn't do it because I was doing something else, and then he called me for The Conspirator.
Nice.
So, which I think is an even better project. So, you know, work begets work, and I always feel like you're not missing anything. It's you know, that's okay.
But in your 20s, you did feel it.
Yeah.
So you've got a couple of years left, Sam, to let it go.
No, I doubt. I'm generally a very bitter person.
I would
so this
hear-
is, I'm going to coast on this for decades.
God.
Because I was in New York doing mostly theater in the 80s.
Right.
And I would go sometimes to, film auditions or TV movie auditions, and you see these actors from LA going, well, I'm here, but I'm missing da-da-da, and I'm missing da-da-da, and I'm missing this show, and I'm missing pilots, and it's like, you're here, just do this.
Why not be in this?
Yeah, be in the moment.
Live in the present.
Yes.
I want to talk also about the revival of All My Sons with Richard Kiley. This was very early in your career, some 23 years ago, if I may.
Well, it was later in my career in theater.
In theater, yes.
Yeah, it was late in my career in theater, early in my career.
Because theater for you, it was like 78?
76 through 90, yeah.
I mean, the early stages was 78, 76, 77. And that, so by the time you got to this revival of All My Sons with Richard Kiley in 87, your Broadway debut, it happened, it says here, the year before, So Long on Lonely Street.
Which I'd done at the Alliance in Atlanta.
And
Before in a little theater, and then we moved it to the big theater, and then we moved it to New York.
Right.
But I'd done a couple of off-Broadway things before that. So
you certainly had. but that only allowed you to appreciate the difference between off-Broadway and the Broadway.
Yeah, well, here's a weird thing. I did a production, the first production of All My Sons at the Long Wharf, with who in the lead as the woman?
You're asking me?
Frances McDormand.
No.
And so that's my first glimpse of Joel, was there.
Ridiculous.
Yep. With Franny McDormand. And
the hell year was that?
So it was the year before we did it on Broadway. And Ralph Waite had done it at Long Wharf, and he was great. And then they decided to move it, and they got Richard. They needed a bigger name. And Richard was completely dead, because Ralph was very naturalistic and very, Richard
Kiley
was very, very, started from ground zero, nothing, and built, and it was like a little pyramid, and he'd build little things. It was a great experience to see him build that character until finally, boom, he had him. And he was completely different than Ralph Waite's version, but amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there was an education for you?
Absolutely. Well, everything is an education for me. Every shoot is an education for me. I find something different in every job that I work. That's something I didn't know, something that I could do better, everything that I do, I find something to learn.
And yet you insist you're lazy.
I am incredibly lazy. I'd much rather watch bad television with my dogs than do it.
What was the last great bad television you enjoyed with your dogs?
Bad television.
Could have been last night. I don't care. I just want curious.
Let me think of some really. Well, it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
Well, clearly you're enjoying this. Bad television doesn't actually refer to the quality.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
What you consider to be guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. All right. Robert Parker, the writer, did Spencer and Jesse Stone books, which I enjoy as a guilty pleasure, and one of the TV movies that they did for that was on the other night on CBS. I watched it and I had a wonderful
You and the
time.
dogs couldn't get enough?
Couldn't get enough of it.
Is any of the reality television shows?
Do not watch it.
Don't care for the Jersey Shore?
You know.
Did you tune in a little?
I have
Curiosity?
Not,
Haven't seen a stitch?
Haven't seen one
Moment.
reality show moment, if I can avoid it.
There's a boycotting thing happening.
I don't.
You've drawn a line.
I just.
You won't go there.
You know why?
Tell me.
It's voyeur television to me.
Yes, it is.
It's completely voyeur, and
It's the Roman Colosseum.
I don't see the thing. I don't get.
You don't get it.
I don't get it. Why you would want to watch people?
Are you
who
saying you have never seen Man vs. Food?
I am saying I have never seen that. I have never seen. Name the first big reality TV show.
Survivor.
Never seen it. Isn't it awful?
No,
Shouldn't I be stoned?
You got applause from outside the studio.
Somebody don't like it so much. I don't like the voyeur aspect of it. I don't want to see somebody's fuck ups. I have my own.
If I had a checkbook in front of me,
yeah,
and I do now, and I said I'd like to write a check to you.
Yes.
Just let me know the number that it needs to be.
Yeah, to be on.
In order for you to watch
a
show called Hoarders.
I've heard of Hoarders, and I kind of want to watch Hoarders. I kind of want to watch Hoarders.
Why?
That's interesting to
There's
me.
no
because there's no relationships. It's not a relationship-based show.
Right.
But that's more of a. I don't know. That sounds interesting to me. I must say.
But I'm sorry.
Must say. But I don't know if that's really reality TV. I guess it is.
Well, it couldn't be more real, I assure you.
I guess.
There are no actors involved.
Very
few animals hurt in the process.
Yeah,
but
that does sound interesting to me. I must say that's true. But I have not watched it.
What part of it sounds interesting?
The psyche that would do that, I guess.
Are you in your own personality someone who discards things easily?
No, I do have a lot of shit in my basement.
You collect too much?
I do collect too much. My wife would like me to throw away a lot of it, and I would be happy to do it now.
First of all, the fact that you have a basement in California is impressive.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
It's kind of an above.
Yeah.
We live on a hill, so there's kind of a basement-like thing.
Oh, we know where you live.
Yes.
If I said to you, you can only keep 3 things, 3 that are in your basement, and I mean it.
Okay.
You can only keep 3.
Keep 3 things.
Or I'm taking the dogs.
Ooh.
Exactly. It's got to be serious.
All right.
3 things.
3 things.
They are.
I would keep. Well, I used to be the 40-year-old virgin, with all the comic stuff and the toys and shit. That was me. So that would all go. I still have some of that. That would all go.
It's important to figure out what has to go first.
I know. I'm picturing right now what's down there. And what I would have to have.
We haven't really established what's in the basement to begin with.
I know.
So I would love it if he came up with my chainsaw.
This is why I actually asked for the 3 things. That's exactly it. Instead of going through what's all there.
I know, but I told you I'm very slow.
No.
Think about
There's
it.
no slow on this show, my friend. You can't get slower. You can't get less event-driven.
Let's see.
This is the
3
process.
Things.
This is not the result.
3 things that I would keep. I would keep my letter and track medals from junior high because I felt I was good then.
Nice.
I would keep
a sense of accomplishment on the first choice.
I would keep. I have a number one Fantastic Four and Spider-Man that I will keep.
No, you don't.
I do.
Number one?
Number one.
Whoa.
Well, I have Amazing Fantasy 15, which is the first Spider-Man.
Okay, now we're going to give out. Now we definitely cannot give out his address.
I know you
Best
cannot.
episode
So I'll keep
ever.
those. I will keep
Sean
those.
passed out.
No, I was one of those geeks in '64 and '65 who were putting them in Ziplocs. I was one of those
How
guys.
did you know to do that?
Because it was different. Marvel then was different than any other comic book, and I said, "This is collectible, wonderful." I didn't think of it as collectible so much as like, this is art. I want to save this. This is art. This isn't a comic book. This is art, and it was in '64, '65, '66. So I can't.
But it's amazing you would think that as barely a teenager.
Well, I was a little anal. I think I was a little anal then.
Still, you're so young to have such
that
foresight.
was my okay. I'll take that one. I had foresight on that. I had foresight.
No,
on
everything else you clearly fucked up. But
everything
that.
else is a mess. But I was very.
All right, so
good
now we've
with
got one item left.
those. What
Your
else? Would I?
collection of rare and contagious diseases?
Sammy, let's stay out of your basement. I'm sorry. Jesus.
Let's see. What else would I keep? I have a drawing from Phil that Phil drew one day.
He should do great album covers
he was,
for big
he was a
bands.
great artist.
Yeah.
But he drew. I was doing some scene with Andy, and he drew me a scene of me and Andy doing a scene. I'd keep that. So I'll keep that. Yeah.
Nice
It was
choice.
cool. Good choice.
Oh man.
And I only recently found it because I had box and shitloads of videotape that I had to get rid of.
I just went through a bunch of videotape.
yeah.
How bizarre was that?
Yeah, and you find things that you stuck in there that you'd like to save, and that was in there. Was Phil's drawing.
The videotape for me was I made a huge pile that I decided I'll have this transferred to DVD.
Right.
And then I started to go through that pile and I went, what? Why?
Why?
Yeah. My third Tonight Show. What? Why do I?
What's the earliest thing you have on tape?
Having just gone through the mix,
You should know.
earliest thing would have to be my first national television appearance, which would have been on the Merv Griffin show.
What year was that?
That was 1984.
Right.
84 or 85 at the latest. But I'd only moved to LA in 83.
Right.
So I didn't have access to national television prior to that move.
Right.
I had videotape on me from San Francisco where I started out.
Right.
And stand-up comedian, but I got onto one of the local entertainment news sections of right.
So you've got that.
Those shows, and
Yeah.
I did the field pieces,
But not a produced show.
not a big
Yeah.
national.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Merv was great to comedians when he really liked you. He had me on 3 times in like 4 months. It was amazing. In fact, the night that I'm sorry to sidetrack
do it.
during your interview.
No, I like it.
But this is the one thing. He would tape 2 shows a day. And he was having Orson Welles on the show all the time in the last 5 or more years of Orson's
Right.
life.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before Ellen, in the afternoon, it was Merv Griffin. He was the afternoon
Oh, sure.
talk show that ruled
yeah.
the world.
Yeah.
And was so smart, could buy and sell Carson over and over, probably more because of having created Jeopardy. But, and also he wrote his theme song. He was just such an amazing businessman. But he would have Orson Welles on all the time. And he did 2 shows a day. So I remember the 3rd show of that 3 shows in a row thing. He said, "You're coming in, you're doing the 2nd show today." Okay, great. But it was the first time of the 3, first time on the show where I was what they called for stand-up comedians spontaneously paneled, where at the end of your stand-up,
Yeah,
you would look over to Johnny or Merv, and they would give you one of these. In this case, when I looked over, Merv was on his way over, and I went, "Oh God, what did I do?" And he shook my hand, which I thought was great. He's shaking my hand, and then guided me over to literally
The panel, right.
right. So where I sat with Alan King, who was already sitting there watching, who was like a hero of mine.
Oh, sure.
and I met my first agent backstage who signed me from ICM and literally took me to show business. But
Cool.
Later that night, I found out that at the first show, well, actually, while I was doing the show, at the first show, they told me, Orson Welles was here for the first show, and he sat in the seat, because I was saying, I sat in the seat, I sat next to Merv, I was so excited, it was ridiculous. Orson Welles sat in that seat about an hour ago, and then I was like crazy ridiculous, and then he passed away later that night.
Oh, wow.
So then I went back and stole the seat, and that's what's in my basement.
And I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the Merv Griffin was the first thing I had on tape, sure. And you?
It's probably because I was doing only theater. I didn't do.
Well, Jake and the Fat Man.
No. I was an extra in Arthur.
Also, what?
Yes.
What does that mean? You're somewhere in the background of a scene?
I'm in the church scene. I'm in the church scene. We go, I have to go to the hospital. Yeah, I was an extra in Arthur, and that was probably the first.
Did you try
film.
to steal
Spot myself?
Did you try to steal his attention for a second while he was walking around during the shooting?
No, but I really enjoyed his process because he only did the scene twice. He only did it twice, and he did it completely different both times. But it was great.
Yeah.
It was cool, and I think I was bartending in someplace on 79th and Broadway.
That's what New York actors do.
Yeah, and so I lived on that for a long time. I think I saw you in the church scene. Yeah, I know.
That was my.
So that probably was the first.
He was one of my heroes.
Oh my God, are you kidding? Just ridiculous.
Oh yeah, and the early stuff with him and Peter Cook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Beyond the Fringe.
Get your hands on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe. Well,
If you had a fourth thing from the basement?
Oh. Dun, 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 dun. I can't think of that. I don't know.
All right. When the Kindergarten Cop and the Oleander we mentioned earlier, and you were laughing as you are again from those moments of being.
I did a nice scene with our governor. Did a very nice subplot with him, and it never got on. But he said, "You are fucking funny."
Yeah.
To me, you are fucking funny. Okay.
It is pretty great when you're knighted by the.
It was nice. It was good. And my elbow is in the movie now. I think there's a scene where my elbow goes through.
Was that the first experience of the phone call prior to the movie coming out when the director calls and says, yeah, I'm not in the...
No, because one of the first movies I did was Monkey Shines with George Romero.
George Romero.
Right, George Romero.
Yeah, we're going to need to talk about that. And that's in your dossier, sir.
Yeah, that's okay.
And we're going to need to talk about George Romero.
George Romero.
So, but you're not cut out of that. There was a scene cut out.
No, but they changed the ending where I was pelted by people. I can't remember, but there was a big ending with my character that would lead into a sequel-like type thing, and the studio said, no, this is enough, and that was all cut out. And he's the first one that called me and said, it's not there. And I was sad.
Just sad?
Just sad, yeah. It was okay. I had a job at the time, so it was
right.
just sad.
So you take it all pretty well, the good and the bad.
Yeah, I do.
Other than in your 20s.
Yeah, other than my 20s, I was an angry young man smoked a lot of pot.
Well, it's difficult to be both.
It is.
By the way.
It is. When I was not high, I was angry.
As many times as you've heard the expression, he's a mean drunk, you rarely hear...
He was a mean pothead.
He's a mean stoner.
I was a very, very pleasant man.
You know, Larry, when he gets high, he's a prick. You rarely hear that. And just realize that. Kenny, make note.
Oh, I don't know how people can smoke pot anymore. It's like if you whiff it from like four things away, you're gone for a day. At least I am.
It's too strong.
Too strong.
Yeah. Dennis
I
Miller.
can't imagine doing it now.
I remember Dennis Miller summarizing exactly. My leg got up and left the room, Paul, man. I want you to start to prepare your Larry King game.
Oh, God.
We're getting near...
Do I get to pee first?
The 2-hour mark.
All right.
Yeah, no, we're done. That means we're done.
Oh, fantastic. if the guest has to pee, we're done.
Yeah, that's where we draw the line.
I like it.
I've had to pee for an hour. But I wait till the guest has to pee because I'm respectful.
You're a nice
I learned
man.
that from Merv Griffin.
Nice man.
Wait till the guest has to pee and then say, ooh, we'll be right back.
Who did that on Second City so brilliantly?
Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis.
I was just gonna
One
say.
of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
That and the Dean Martin, or the Dean Martin.
Perry Como.
Perry Como, yeah, sleeping. Eugene Levy doing
Eugene
sleeping.
Levy lying on the
Best
stage.
thing ever.
And the
Is there
microphone-
anything better?
The microphone is just here. Yeah.
Nothing better than
I'm
that.
so excited that
Nothing
Dave
better.
Thomas is coming on the show in March, and
just
then Eugene
brilliant.
Levy says he's available in March
my
too. I can't wait to
God.
get these guys. And Joe Flaherty and
See,
I work
those-
together.
That's
Those
the
guys,
top.
heroes of mine
That's
in
the-
such a huge way.
Always.
The Second City.
Oh my God, the best ever.
I can't thank you enough, honestly. And here's the
Oh,
deal.
thanks.
There's tremendous fascination when you meet people who consider themselves, oh no, I'm a real film fan. You know, these, not just people who like to go to the movies. I'm sure you've run into people and say, you know that film you were in, and then they name it and they go, I own that. I own that film.
Mm-hmm.
And I always want to say to them, actually Warner Brothers owns it. You have a copy.
You have a copy of that.
But to real film fans, cinephiles,
Sure.
I guess they'd be called, they like to collect their favorite character actors.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't done that, although I have favorite ones that I probably should collect because I love them so much.
Frank Morgan,
Yes. Hello.
Ward Bond.
And I got to do Frank Morgan in Wizard of Oz, sing the rub rub here, rub rub there. That I got to do that in an animated thing. But go ahead.
You did?
Yes, and I got to sing. It was very nice. And
How much fun that must have
it
been.
was the best. It was best.
Because I remember being,
La-di-da's the best.
I couldn't sing, but he was one of the first voices I did.
Yeah.
No one sees Oz, no way, no how.
How?
Go away and don't come back.
The
wizard.
Wallace Shawn.
And then it transitioned to Wallace Shawn. That's exactly right.
wizard.
Inconceivable.
Yeah, Frank Morgan. Oh my God.
Sheldon Leonard.
Yeah, Sheldon. Oh yeah, of course, Sheldon Leonard.
I mean, he became
in It's a Wonderful Life.
All right, that's it.
look.
You two pixies out the door or out the window.
That's it.
Oh, that's another thing. Where do you come off calling me Nick? Henry Jones.
Henry Jones. Oh my
loved
God.
Henry Jones.
Yeah.
So then you were, and I got this from your dossier. I'm not making this up. I'm cheating. Some of
I'm
your love,
reading it.
your love of some of these actors.
Yes. Well, but all character guys I know love these guys. I mean,
Yeah.
because they're.
But it turns
or
out
Strother Martin. You know, I mean, there's those guys. You know, you want to.
Slim Pickens.
You want to.
What's the great Twilight Zone that Slim Pickens plays the guy that spins a yarn in the
That was Andy Devine.
Andy Devine
Andy Devine.
in the general store.
Yes, Frisbee, something.
Yeah, Frisbee.
Hocus Pocus and Frisbee is the name of the episode.
And he
I'm
gets-
like a Twilight Zone.
And he always
encyclopedia.
he spins these yarns in
Yeah.
the general store. Craziest stories ever, and everyone, oh, he's full of shit. We love him. And then he gets taken onto a spaceship, and he comes back. It's the old
I think I remember
Cry
that.
Wolf
Yeah.
story where
Yeah, I
he comes
haven't
back
seen
and
that
says, "They took
one
me
in a
on a
long time.
spaceship." No,
Yeah.
He ends up defeating them with his harmonica.
right.
It was I actually read.
Was that one of the hour ones? Because they
No,
weren't
it was
quite as
only
good as the
half
half
hour.
hour ones. The hour ones were okay, but they weren't as good as the half hour ones.
That
I
one
didn't
was
think.
actually Rod Serling kind of did that one for it was for like families. He wanted kids to watch the show. And
Yeah.
It was kind of like the kid.
He was wrong.
Episode.
So,
Your son, before we forget, Cody,
yes,
Cody Ryan Root.
Cody Ryan
one of the
Root.
greatest names ever, is a drummer in a band called Drive A.
Drive A, alt punk all the time. They were just out with Bullets for My Valentine, nice group out of England. They were just out with the Used.
Got a wow from J-Mac.
Yeah, they were out with the Used and the Almost, and they'll be going out on tour here in January. They're recording and doing all those things that 20-year-old, 21-year-old people do.
How exciting is that for you?
It's the greatest because I get to go see him in different places.
Right.
I've seen him at Stubbs in Austin. I've seen him at Roseland in New York.
Oh my God.
I've seen him in a dive in New Orleans. So it's just the greatest to go different places where he is and watch him perform. Tremendous.
And to see him that passionate about something.
Yeah, and he has been completely passionate about it since he started guitar when he was 11 or 12 and wrote on that till he was like 15, and then
How old
switched.
when you bought him his first drum kit?
15, and then he got out of high school, went to Music Institute for a couple of years, and the audition path and the whole thing, you know. Now he lives on the bus and has groupies.
And you couldn't.
Well, he has a girlfriend, so he doesn't have groupies. But
Well, it's okay to have groupies. You don't have to be sleeping with them. Sam will tell you this.
He doesn't sleep with them, but they do love him.
Yeah.
Yes.
You-
So it's great.
you
It's
must be thrilled
really
beyond
thrilled
belief.
beyond belief. It's so cool. What's cool is that's what I was doing when I was 22. I was on a bus doing a tour. He's on a bus doing a tour, having a similar experience around the country, which is cool. Yeah.
Band of Merry Men.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Different time. We stayed in Motel 6s for $3 a piece, tripled in a room.
Right.
He stays on the bus.
Stays on the bus. And the bus is a little nicer than the one you
It's a
were
lot
driving.
nicer. Yeah. But it was cool.
Oh, my God. Well, congratulations on that.
Thanks, sir.
That's about as great as it gets.
That's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Very proud of him.
Are you just about ready with the Larry King game? I don't know how much
Was I
longer-
supposed to be thinking about that?
No.
While I was talking?
I did not want you to think about it.
I told you that I'm very much...
It says here you're a brilliant improviser.
Well,
It's one of your favorite things. I will go over
Obviously.
the,
I know.
the
Go over it
qualifications again.
All right.
The rules
It
is-
can't be about him having piles.
Well, no, that's for the viewers. I like the guest at work
I
blue.
see.
Yeah,
Well,
work
yeah,
blue.
but I can't do it now. I can't do that now.
No.
It's
I need the
gone.
viewers to get a little deeper. They have more time to prepare. You've had 30 seconds.
I've had only 30 seconds.
Okay, bad Larry King impression.
Bad Larry
It's the first
King?
thing I want. I don't want a good
That's-
one.
All right. No, well,
It's-
all you'll get is a bad one.
It's a funny,
Yes.
funny thing to me if Larry King should sound like he's from the South coming out of you. All right, so keep that in mind. Looking for Southern Larry King.
Oh, God, this is awful.
And then that moment before Larry bumper, before he throws it to the phones,
Yeah.
he mentions something that may have happened earlier in the day or last night or a couple of nights ago, something that crossed his mind, something that happened that he decides to share, and that you just know the producer's just off camera going,
No.
that's all this is. And then go to the phone, some backwater wonderful town that you may have driven through on tour as the name of the city, if it's peculiar sounding. I mean, that's pretty much it. This became Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
Oh, my God. So it's Larry King just talking about nothing?
Absolutely.
Nothing?
Just a personal experience.
Yeah.
That might have happened to him. That's your camera right there, Larry,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're when you're feeling it.
All right.
Huh?
Well, let's see. Well, I told you I can't do improv. I hate you so much.
That's good. This
Well,
is good.
you know.
This is good.
Well, I just want to say that now that my suspenders are touching my nipples, I'm feeling awkward and strange, and it's kind of like the experience that I had with a hooker and a midget in Sioux City. What? I don't see.
Go to
I
the
can't
phone.
come up.
Go to the phone.
Oh, we'll take Dixie in Poughkeepsie.
That's it.
I'm sorry.
That's all it is.
It's just awful.
No apologies accepted.
Awful.
No apologies accepted. We're not here to judge. We're here to play. That was fantastic, sir. I can't thank you enough. Honestly, it really meant a lot to me when you said, "Sure, I'll come on your stupid show." You didn't say that. That's how I heard it. Honestly and
I'm
truly.
sorry. Tell me your name again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Still one of my favorite.
Have a
lines
great
ever.
time at Sundance with not only
Your
Red
film,
State.
Your film.
You know what? Before you go, I
Yes.
think we should show a little clip
Oh,
of the
I like it.
trailer from Red State.
Oh, we should.
We did a little film together that Kevin Smith wrote and directed.
Yes, and I think will be his finest hour. I'm excited about seeing it.
It seems to be his most mature film, if that's
Yeah.
a phrase that he doesn't hate. I hope he doesn't
He
hate.
doesn't, but I think
he
that's-
better get used to it.
that's
because that's
a-
what they're going to be saying.
Yeah, and he's cast it very brilliantly, I think.
Michael Parks.
With Michael Parks in the
It's
lead
like a
of this
clinic.
thing. It's like Josh Brolin when you saw him in No Country.
Right.
Seeing Michael Parks in this, to
Yeah.
me.
When I saw Michael Parks in Kill Bill Volume 2, when
Ah.
he played the pimp,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this, oh my goodness. And he also played the sheriff, which was very straightforward, but the pimp was like, holy shit, what just happened?
Where has this guy been? Because
Yeah.
he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Kevin decides to give him a tour de force pretty much as the David Koresh type character
He's
in this
amazing.
particular outing of Red
Unbelievable.
State. Let's take us, we'll make sure we have volume in here so we can enjoy it as well. Take a look at just a little bit, a few minutes of the Kevin Smith opus Red State.
And you were like, we're in for some shit. Oh, yeah.
Shut up, it's on.
See the face of Jesus on my way tonight. He says to me, old sinner, come on in. I see the face of Jesus in that great white light. And my Savior makes me whole again. In his shining eyes, in his shining eyes, I see the promise of all forgiveness to set you free. I see the face of Jesus on my way this night. And my Savior is there to comfort me. I fear God. You better believe I fear God.
Just before we came on the show, I forgot to mention, I feel bad. Kevin called and said, yes, you can show the clip, but not with sound.
And I think that's fair.
And I felt, you know what,
It's
let's
fair.
still show it.
It's fair.
Yeah.
That was like watching the preview of a movie on the person on flying in the plane in the seat next to you who's watching a movie and you're without sound. You're like, that looks, maybe is that interesting? I don't know.
I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we all do that. And so that's a very good analogy. I like that. And it helps the...
The worst part of it, though, is having to loop for movies for airplanes. It's the worst experience on earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Because there's very few words. I mean, cork soaker, you can only say so many times.
Johnny Dangerous.
Yeah.
Sucker.
Yeah. So
Muck,
go
muck,
online. Leave us now. Go online, ladies and Jews, and look up the Red State trailer where you'll see it with sound. And oh boy, is it delicious.
It's very nice.
Yeah, you should get yourself some of that. Can I also say, before we go, that you'll also be at the Sundance Film Festival, not just with Red State, but with Cedar Rapids as well, this new film.
Yes, sir.
With Ed Helms and John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly, Anne Heche,
Anne Heche.
directed by Miguel Arteta.
Miguel Arteta, you had a great
Fantastic.
time on that one.
Had a wonderful time. I think
Awesome.
it's going to be a good little film.
Yeah, it's starting to get a whole lot of buzz.
Yeah,
about
it's starting
it.
to roll out, which is a nice deal.
Yeah, and it's your first time at Sundance.
Yeah, I've never been.
That's a great,
So
great thing.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should be.
Thanks.
Have a great time with that.
Thanks, bud.
Loved you as the dentist in Louis C.K.'s show.
I love Louis C.K.
How much
God
fun?
bless him. Mwah.
How much fun was that to do?
The more fun than you could have.
Yeah.
It was like that was Newsradio fun.
He directs them all.
He directs them all. He's pretty much everything in it. I mean,
Yeah.
he writes them with Pam Adlon, who's beautiful.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Please don't slow down. Don't spend too much time at home, you lazy bastard. Please keep cranking out the work because we're loving it.
Not if you won't let me pee.
Oh, all right, you gotta go pee. Sit there uncomfortably while I wrap things up, and then we'll let you go pee. Excellent. Only another 17 minutes, about as long as the opening. It's so great to be back. I apologize for being a little rusty at it. Every time we have 2 weeks off, I get the brain scrambled a little bit. But the holidays and the Vegas and the things and the Jerry Lewis still in my brain. We got some great shows coming up. The great Paul Dooley and his better half, Winnie Holzman, who, of course, wrote the book for Wicked, and they're here next week. And then Lisa Kudrow after that. And just go to the site.
The Farrellys we got. coming
Nathan
up. We got
Fillion,
Nathan Fillion coming up.
Lauren Graham. Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, it really
too
is
much fun.
stacking up nice on the tarmac. Some great folks coming by. So we'll see you again. Go to the iTunes and check out the whole library if you want. The whole last 2 hours and 4 minutes and 15 seconds, my crew has been working hard outside the walls here, and I have to wonder on occasion, as I do most shows around this time, what exactly it is they've been up to. Oh, it looks like J. Mac, who's working the front desk.
Wait a minute. Oh,
No, don't take my stapler.
That's very important that stapler stays
Oh, I
with
see.
J-Mac.
You can use the stapler, but don't take the stapler.
Touch that.
What the hell's the matter with them? Wait a minute, what's underneath here? Comic
Oh,
books,
no,
maybe?
wait. Oh, no, he wasn't
no,
looking.
this is not going to work out. This is not going to work out.
Oh, the shutter.
What is he
Wow,
thinking?
this is very...
Oh,
He burned the building down.
burned. Oh, that is a tribute. That's an homage.
This is fantastic.
That is a beautiful homage.
That is a beautiful
and,
thing.
and thankfully,
I wanted them to do the cake
And
scene, but that wasn't in the
fantastic
budget.
there wasn't in the
To buy
budget
the
to do the cake scene.
But setting the building on fire was.
Was in the budget. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Oh, how nice.
Thank you, sir.
A lovely tribute from the crew, and much
Very nice,
appreciated.
very nice.
All right. Well, we'll leave on that high note of our guest feeling as special as he should. Join us again. We'll see you next time. And until then, thanks to everyone. Thanks for coming back after the holiday. We thought some of you might not. We'll see you next time. And until then, and as always, get out of my face.
He's all of the rainbows, but none of the rain. He's dry, but he's an alcoholic. He's hosting this train wreck again and again, and he wears a hat he's carrying.